Welcome back to the AIM edition of Newsfeed. I'm Liesl Wilson. Now, while many South Africans continue to stay confined to their homes under the extended lockdown, they still face some challenges. With schools and universities remaining closed, many students continue to work hard in trying to keep up to date with their academic aspirations. Many parents are also working from home and are feeling increasingly anxious, and they're left trying to juggle work responsibilities and their children's education. All this can take an emotional toll in homes during this time, but joining us via Skype to give us a little bit more tips on how we can maintain a positive environment at home during the time is Head of Academics at ADvTECH Schools, John Louis. John, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Let's just look at the overall impact of stress and perhaps how that does not contribute to a conducive environment.
Yeah, so
John, I'm going to try you once again. Let's see if we have you back on the line. I just wanted you to unpack what the overall impact of stress is in maintaining, in perhaps being counter to maintaining a conducive environment. Let's hear your thoughts on that.
So the online learning period is a completely new period for everybody. We had very little time to adjust to the new mode of learning, and with it comes a lot of uncertainty that is coupled with the COVID-19 stress that families endure. No amount of learning will take place if a student is concerned about other issues relating to their emotional well-being or just their basic needs. And so it was really important for us to make sure that we put some sort of mechanism in place to ensure that both our parents and our students knew that they were being supported through the time of this lockdown and this uncertain period.
Let's look at some of the measures that or tips rather, that you've advocated. I mean, the importance of a routine can also be beneficial for parents, as we mentioned, who are now also playing the role of educators, also maintaining their responsibilities at work. I mean, what routine measures have you put in place?
So in terms of the online learning, we wanted to make sure that we were doing more than just conveying or putting across the concepts and skills in these subject-specific areas. So we wanted to do more than just the curriculum. So we created a designated team at each of our schools, call them the pastoral care team, and basically what they are doing is they are looking at three aspects. One is the learning community. We're all isolated, we're all locked down in each of our homes, and it's so important that we maintain the sense of community and that the community members understand that they're there for each other. So we look at all sorts of different aspects, such as mental wellness, emotional support. Just even when we take register in the morning, instead of just taking register, we actually take register, we do it online, and we ask the children to give us some sort of indication of their of how they are feeling. So we might have 4 options. One might be, I'm feeling really great and looking forward to the day. And on the other side, it might be, I'm ready for my learning, but I would cope with some emotional support. And what we then do is we immediately take the team and action those items so that we can actually assist those students. We have, secondly, put in systems to make sure that our students are supported on their schoolwork. So if they are struggling with the workload, if they are struggling to understand the content, that there is time for them to get that support. And then we mustn't forget that even though we're not in school, all the other activities which students look forward to, like extramurals, clubs, all of that, we're trying to make sure that those continue. Even though, for example, you may not be able to play soccer on the field, you may still be able to have an engagement where you're talking about soccer, watching games together, talking about strategy, etc. Other extramural activities such as public speaking and debating can still go ahead. So we're really trying to make sure that that sense of community that prevails in the school normally, that is extended to our online offering.
John, I'm just looking at parents who are struggling during these times. I mean, with the actual curriculum, let's look at some of the, populations that have not been previously, who have been deemed as previously disadvantaged. I mean, how do we take these mechanisms and adapt them to these scenarios? I mean, as we know, not all schools have access to the type of activities you're speaking of.
This is a very tough question to answer. Children that don't have, we're very privileged that our students have, as a majority, have access to online. But those children that do not have access to online, to be able to keep that communication going between the school and the students is incredibly difficult. I know that the education authorities are looking at different ways, such as broadcasting radio and also looking at broadcasting across TV. But that's really largely about making sure that children don't fall behind in their curriculum and that they can progress academically. The other side of it that you mustn't forget is that schools play a key role in ensuring that children feel challenged, that they feel motivated, that they are confident. Every student probably has a champion that is an adult teacher or just an adult in the school. And we've been lucky in that the online environment has allowed us to continue. But those children that do not have access to the online, I really don't know how you maintain that connectedness and that sense of community.
John, just in conclusion, I want to know, based on all the routines and measures that have been put in place on your end, I mean, what are some of the gaps that have emerged or concerns that you've been able to highlight whilst, implementing this leg of these unprecedented times?
The biggest is that human connection. So essentially, if I just give you a simple example, in the classroom, if a child needs consoling, the teacher can go up to the child, give the child a hug, and really on a face-to-face basis, is able to ensure that the child understands that they're there. It's a bit more difficult in today's times because we have to be 1.5 meters away from each other. And so just those little aspects of that human connection, that human touch is really difficult for a lot of people. And we're trying to address those little gaps, which mean a lot for our kids.
Let's leave it there. Head of Academics at ADvTECH Schools, thank you very much for joining us, just chatting to us about how to maintain a positive environment at home during this lockdown period. And that concludes the first hour of your weekend edition.